Welcome back to Goldie Farms. It's winter here on the central coast of California, which means we have calendula. It's both a wonderful herb to have as part of any plant guild, as it repels certain pests, but it's also considered a mother herb, as it has powerful healing and rejuvenating properties for the body and especially the skin. With all this calendula, I've been crafting Goldie Glow again, which is available on the Etsy shop now, and I've been picking calendula rain or shine. It's raining, but we're outside anyway. It's been raining so much here, and that means there's so much calendula because it only gets rainwater. We don't water it ourselves. It's just watered by the rain, and so it has been so prolific. So much has happened in the past few months at Goldie Farms, and I've been unsure where to even begin. So I wanted to share what's new here and answer some of your questions. And a lot of questions have been about these little blossoms we call calendula. Calendula are in the daisy family, and they're usually orange and yellow, like the sunny ones we have at Goldie Farms, but some varieties are white or apricot colored, though I've never seen those myself. I love calendula for many reasons. One is that they are so hardy. It's been below freezing most nights here, and they just close up their petals and open up again when it's sunny. They love lots of sunshine, well-draining soil, so they really love Goldie Farms. The petals of the flowers are edible, and sometimes we put them in salads, though my favorite way to consume them is in tea. Because of their anti-inflammatory properties, they are really good for the digestive tract and are wonderful for the skin. In fact, calendula have a long history of being used by healers, especially medicine women, to treat a variety of skin ailments such as burns, rashes, infections, sunburns, inflammation, bruises, cuts, dermatitis, eczema, and rosacea. So my last batch of Goldie Glow ended up being a little bit of a disaster, and I had to throw it all away. Turns out Pyrex bowls are not what they used to be, so be careful out there. Pyrex bowls used to be made out of something called borosilicate glass, which is very resistant to thermal shock, so you can do something like use it directly on the stovetop or as a double boiler. But now Pyrex is made out of soda lime glass, and I didn't know this until my Goldie Glow exploded. It was probably a cost-cutting measure that Pyrex took, but soda lime glass is an inexpensive glass that is not as resistant to thermal shock, and that's why the Pyrex broke and I lost all my Goldie Glow. I ended up having to take the oven apart to get all the Goldie Glow out. But in the end, I wound up going back to my grandma's old double boiler, which actually is a much better double boiler, even though I have to do smaller batches because it's small. I guess maybe it's true what they say. They don't make things like they used to. Having a food forest means lots of winter pruning, and here on California's Central Coast, we do most of our perennial planting in the winter because we found that spring is just too short and the summer is really hard on newly planted trees and flowers. It's just really hot here. We also made the decision to plant a lot more evergreens so that the garden looks more lush and secret year-round. We planted several strawberry guavas and are curious to see how they do. I've received a lot of questions about the wire baskets around the root ball of the trees and shrubs we plant. These are called gopher baskets. We make them out of 3/4 inch chicken wire because we found that standard 1-inch chicken wire holes are too big and the gophers can sometimes squeeze their way through. We weave these together to make a basket, and this gives our plants a chance to get established among the army of gophers that live just beneath the soil surface. Making gopher baskets is probably my least favorite part of gardening, but it's the most effective measure we've found so far to keep our plants from getting sucked away by gophers. I'll admit these baskets are a bit tedious to make, but you can buy them pre-made. We've decided to make our own though because the cost does add up when you're planting hundreds of plants. I've actually spent a lot of time making baskets wondering what happens to the wire underground as the tree roots grow. Well, we had a plum tree not make it through the summer, so we dug it up and it was kind of neat to take a look. I use a store-bought basket on this tree which has much thinner wire and smaller holes, but it was interesting to see how the roots just broke right through this wire. Nearly every single tree and shrub we've planted has been planted in a homemade gopher basket, and they seem to work really well and not affect the tree's growth. Our baby trees are looking pretty good and holding up pretty well considering these crazy storms we've been getting in California. It's a beautiful day, it's a beautiful day, it's a beautiful day when you get wood chips. Another question I get asked a lot is if I worry about using wood chips in the garden. And the answer is no. I think wood chips are the greatest thing ever for our climate. They save us so much water, they break down into rich humus, they hold water, we compost them with our food waste, we use them as bedding for our vermicompost system, we get them delivered on site for free. I think they are just the best ever. And I don't know that it'd be possible to do what we're doing here on this particular site, which is sandy, in this climate, which is very hot and dry, with these conditions, which is expensive city water and degraded land. I don't think it would be possible to grow this much as inexpensively as we do it without the wood chips. After a really heavy rainstorm, a neighbor had to cut down a damaged tree, and he didn't want the wood chips, so we took them and covered our water battery path with a fresh layer about a foot thick, which locked in all that rain for the long summer ahead of us. And work continues on our little mud pallet studio that we made out of pallets, clay, straw, and sand. It's hard to believe we started this studio almost 3 years ago, but every day it's getting a little closer to completion. We've been using as much natural, salvaged, and repurposed materials as possible, and it has been a humbling experience, but also a really incredible one. Someone tipped us off on a tile showroom that was going out of business, and we pulled 7 truckloads of perfect lumber out of it, but it took us 5 days working almost full-time, removing thousands of screws and nails. But it was worth all the work, because now we have enough lumber to finish the studio the way we imagined, and still have enough lumber to create a cottage, where I'll have room to make Goldie Glow and other handcrafted products we sell on our Etsy shop. I can't wait to share a video about the building of the studio once it's complete, whenever that will be. The beautiful thing about having a vision is that you just take small steps every day, and before you know it, your world will be transformed.